we're going to get started here. Welcome everyone who has joined so far and everybody who's going to be joining. I'm Abby Quinlan. I'm your host for today's webinar. And today we're going to be learning how to create a 2022 nonprofit marketing plan. I want to get started because I know our speaker Candace has some amazing tools and strategies that she's going to want to share with us. So let's jump in here. You may already be familiar with our speaker. She is the digital content manager at Community Boost, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a minute, but a brief intro. Over the last 7 years, Candace has been dedicated to helping nonprofits grow their impact, and today she runs digital events, which includes webinars, virtual events, the whole shebang that provides nonprofits with the digital marketing know-how that they need to reach their goals and make a greater impact. So this webinar is hosted by CauseVox. We're a digital fundraising platform that lets you do more with less effort. From your donation pages to crowdfunding, to event ticketing, to peer-to-peer fundraising, CauseVox has options without the hassle. A few highlights for you. Our donation pages allow you to convert your donations without the clunky donation buttons, so it's easier on your donors. And you can increase your ability to reach your fundraising goals with our interactive, customizable crowdfunding pages. And in addition to reaching new and more donors with peer-to-peer fundraising that keeps the admin control in your hands, which I really enjoy. Of course, our newer feature is event ticketing that can be customized to meet your needs with all and every virtual fundraising event that you have. And you have the option to pledge now, pay later, which is one of my personal favorite features because this donation installment option is easier for your donors and it transitions your pledges to an online easy access space. So if you're interested in any more information, just reach out to me and I will be happy to help schedule a time to go over your fundraising needs and how you can get started. So that's it for me. Let's jump into Candace.
Thanks, Abby. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome.
And I'm so excited to be back with CauseVox for at least the next hour.
It's nice to have you as our first webinar of the year.
This is so fun. I see a lot of familiar faces in the attendees and some new ones too. So I would love to just hear from all of you about what you're hoping to get out of today's session. And we're going to really just get started with it. Just a note, I had a poll in here, but I don't think I told Abby to add it, so that's on me. So if you want to just reply in the chat, you can definitely do that. And I will be sharing my slides, so you'll get a PDF in that follow-up email along with the recording that Abby's going to send out. And awesome. So I think that's it for me. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to get started today. So without further ado, let's jump into how to create a 2022 nonprofit marketing plan. So a little bit more about Community Boost. So if for those of you who don't know, I have been brought on as the digital events manager at Community Boost, which is a digital marketing agency that specifically focuses on accelerating online revenue and impact for nonprofits. And I'm going to be planning the nonprofit marketing summits. There's actually 2 this year. There's one coming up March 8th through 10th. Would love to see you there. It's free. And you can join that to hear from 50 plus of the top speakers in our industry. And also just a little bit more about Community Boost. So over the last year, we've directly worked with 300 nonprofits to help them run just all of their fundraising campaigns as well as just marketing campaigns. So we helped directly raise $12 million in revenue. And our 2 nonprofit marketing summits last year reached over 20,000 nonprofits who got to take away all these amazing learnings from those summits. And we have 54 members on our amazing team, many of whom work directly with nonprofits to help run their fundraising and marketing. So If you want to go ahead and save your seat for the Nonprofit Marketing Summit, you can. I actually dropped the link in the chat before, and you can actually scan it on your phone using the QR code. So feel free to do that. And yeah, I would love to see you there March 8th through 10th. And it's going to be really incredible 3 days, interactive sessions for free. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So here's that poll that I was talking about. That's not a poll in Zoom, but have you created a marketing plan for your nonprofit before? If you want to say yes, and I felt good about it, yes, but I wasn't sure I got it right, or no, this is my first time, I would love to hear from you in the chat. It will give me a really good understanding of where you're at.
Seeing a lot of no's in here.
A lot of no's. I've seen a few yeses, but not sure they got it right. Super hopeful. Angie, I see, is a yes. So it looks like just, I know that there's going to be more responses coming in, but it looks like the majority of you have not done a marketing plan before. And you're not alone in that. There's so many nonprofits that haven't had the opportunity to take a step back, or maybe you're new to your position. And this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about creating a marketing plan. You may, if you've seen past webinars I've done, have heard me talk about creating a fundraising plan, and this is actually a little different, of course. So I'm excited to share more about this with you all today. So I'm going to be going into nonprofit marketing plan basics, just kind of what is a marketing plan, what should it look like, 3 simple steps to creating your marketing plan, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. I'm going to try to leave at least 5 minutes, if not 10, at the end to get to all of your questions. All right, so without further ado, let's dive into our content, how to create a 2022 nonprofit marketing plan. All right, so what is a nonprofit marketing plan? A nonprofit marketing plan outlines your marketing objectives, goals, and the strategies needed to reach those goals. Thankfully, it is not a list of everything you're planning to do for marketing throughout the whole year. That would be overwhelming, and it probably wouldn't be very effective because you'd have to change a bunch of stuff as the year progresses. But what it really is it's meant to be the backbone of your marketing so that it will help you guide your decisions throughout the year. So that's the good news. Basically, having this document in place will really empower you to make the decisions you need to grow your organization. So yeah, so there's so many advantages, one of which is choosing the right strategies for your nonprofit growth. It also empowers you to measure success. A lot of the times at nonprofits, we're like, well, that went well, but compared to what? What went well about it? What particularly drove up donations? What particularly helped us get a wider audience? And so when you have that marketing plan in place with all of those key performance indicators, throughout the year. It's about new growth opportunities in 2022. So finding the gaps of what other nonprofits are doing and you have the opportunity to do, or just, new trends that you can integrate into your marketing planning. And it enables alignment across your team and your board so that when you have a marketing plan in place, it helps your whole team get on the same page. And if they have any questions, you can field them. It also helps advocate for budget, especially with your board. So if your goal is, triple your email subscribers, but you need some tools to be able to do that, that's where the nonprofit marketing plan helps you advocate for those resources. And it informs and streamlines your communications overall. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but basically getting into how planning will really affect every communication you send. And the best thing that a nonprofit marketing plan does, in my opinion, all of these are good, is it creates predictable growth at your nonprofit so that there's a path to growth and it's not just kind of shooting in the dark and seeing what sticks, which, there's definitely a place for that, but it helps you stay on a steady path to grow on a long-term basis rather than a short-term basis. So I would encourage you all right now, we're going to be actually going through some of the template. Please go ahead and download your marketing plan template. I have the QR code in the corner so you can get it from there, or I'm actually pasting in the chat right now. And yeah, when you download that, it's going to just be a template for you to use and customize, make your own so that you have a marketing plan you can bring to your team. Feel free to make any changes you want. You can really mold it to fit your organization's needs. But a lot of this will help at least guide the conversation today and guide how you're thinking about your marketing planning. So before I go any further, let's talk a little bit about what is the main components of a marketing plan or the anatomy of a marketing plan. So it looks like an organization summary. So basically describing what your organization is and does, what your vision statement is, what your mission statement is, then organization initiatives. So this is the high level initiatives that your organization is doing throughout the year that will tie into your own goals for marketing. And there is the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We'll talk a little bit more about how you can do that. Target audience, defining who it is that you actually want to target and who is your ideal donor. Donor personas, this kind of is in line with that target audience. Competitive analysis, seeing what else is out there as far as nonprofits go that are similar to yours. And developing those smart marketing goals that tie into those organization initiatives. And last but not least, defining those strategies and KPIs as well as channels you'll be using to implement all of your marketing throughout the year. So I know that's a lot, but thankfully we're going to be spending the next 45 minutes or so diving into all of those things and how you can do them really effectively and easily. So 3 steps to creating your nonprofit marketing plan. So number 1 is organization alignment. So this section is designed to align marketing with your overall mission and your overall goals. So let's talk a little bit about how we can do that. So the first step is that organization summary. This is where you put in your vision, what your nonprofit wants to achieve. This is your high level idea. You probably have a vision statement somewhere written down. If you don't know what that is, you might want to try to dig that up in your paperwork or maybe on your website. If you have it handy, awesome. So hopefully you have your vision, mission, and overview handy. But if not, you want to actually write what your overall goals as a nonprofit are, what you want to achieve end of day. If your nonprofit is successful, what will the world look like? Then your mission is how you go about achieving that. As well as the overview looks like just kind of the name of your organization, location, number of years that you've been serving people or trees or whatever it is your organization does, as well as sharing overall impacts. How many people have you impacted over the years? How many beaches have you cleaned over the years? If you can share a little bit more about your overall impact as an organization, that is awesome. And this will be super handy when it comes to any opportunity to talk about your organization. You can always refer back to these 3 things and be able to easily communicate more information about your organization. So as to share it really well. And this will also tie into all of the marketing messaging you craft. So very important to have this on hand, keeps everyone on the same page, and at a quick glance can make sure that everyone understands the vision, mission, and basics of your organization. Also team members, this is a little bit more for internal use. So this is who is on your team. So if you have a big marketing team at your organization, this is good to kind of pinpoint who is doing what are their strengths, Or you can also take a step back and just do this as a full organization and look at who works here, who is on the board as well, and who has certain connections, unique strengths, other important things to note that might help you end of day with marketing. Because if someone on your board also is on the board of MailChimp or something, then maybe they're a good person to talk to about email marketing. Just an example. But so best practices for creating this organization summary. You want to keep it concise. This shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 pages, tops, really. Because it's designed to be a quick glance so that anyone at any point in time can really quickly look at this and get the gist. When possible, I think it's always helpful to present this visually. So you'll see that mission, values, and vision infographic that I have there. I think I got that on Vintage, or maybe it was Canva, but a lot of these super easy graphic design tools out there can help you really easily create this in more of a visual form, which I think does help, because even in this example here, you can kind of see where the values, mission, and vision for the organization all kind of overlap. Take a look what's on your website. So again, you probably have your vision and mission statement posted somewhere on your website. What's there, and does that need to be updated? I think this is a good opportunity to do that. So once you write it all out here, you can either use that as a reference to rewrite it and then make an update on your page. So it could be marketing objective number 1 for you is to update the about us on our website. Again, if you want that template download, you can go ahead and create that there. And this is actually one of Community Boost and CauseVox Mutual clients, the center in Hollywood. And you can see how I sort of created this example there. So moving on to organization initiatives. So when you're mapping out the initiatives, this is actually something you should probably chat with your executive director and your board about if possible, but at least your executive director, just so that you get an understanding and you're on the same page of what are the overall main initiatives, what the organization is aiming to achieve in 2022. How many people do you want to impact? Do you want to launch a new program? All of these things are very important so that you understand overall what your organization is hoping to accomplish. Does your fundraising team want to raise $300,000? Marketing is going to be part of that. So then that will help you inform your marketing later on. So these can look like a lot of different things: funding and launching a new program, retaining more donors, raising $300,000. So think through what all of those main high level goals for the year are for the whole organization. So like I said, it'd be best if you did set up a time to connect with your executive director on these major initiatives. If you don't get the chance to connect, think about what your growth opportunities as an organization are. You might want to take a look back at what happened in 2021 and see how you did and where there's way more room for growth, and also what performed well and where you can have the opportunity to even lean into that further for ongoing growth as well. Once you have this list of specific and measurable goals, or once you have this list of initiatives, the best thing that you can do is assign really specific and measurable goals alongside them, so that you can then bring this into your marketing goals later on. So if you know that you're launching a new program and you need to raise $300,000 to do it, that will look like, breaking down marketing by channels and how much revenue you want to drive through each channel, for example, later on. So that is a little bit of those marketing initiatives, or overall organization initiatives rather, that will influence your marketing initiatives. And now let's talk a little bit about the SWOT analysis. So again, this stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You may have seen this before. Some people are big fans of it. Some people don't like it. I personally do like it. I think it helps you reflect on 2021 so that you can decide what is and isn't working for your organization, where your biggest opportunities for improvement are, and how to overcome challenges. So strengths would really just look like, what were all of our initiatives last year? What did we do? Did we meet all of our fundraising goals? Did we bring on new team members that were really awesome and helped us, grow significantly? What were the biggest strengths and what were the biggest weaknesses? For a lot of organizations, it's looking at like what really could have been done better. So maybe your email marketing just wasn't up to par. And so this will help you identify what you can do to kind of resolve that for the year. Or maybe this was a real limitation on your digital tools and you just felt like if you just had a better CRM or better tools that you could be using, you would have been able to do more. What's also my favorite thing to do is remove things completely. So if something was not performing well and you don't think that there's an opportunity to improve it, and it just is just not something that resonates with your community, you can scratch it off the list. And then that's one less thing that will take up your precious time this year. And you can really focus on the things that work well. Other opportunities would really look like taking a step back and seeing what you're not doing that you could be doing to help achieve your goals as an organization. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the ways that you can spot those later. But I think a nice way to also spot opportunities is taking a look at maybe some tools that you can adopt to help you grow well. Also threats. I like to look at threats less as, oh, there's a competitor and, a similar organization. Threats usually looks like that in more of like the business sense. I would say threats in the nonprofit sense look like more like obstacles. So what is preventing you from reaching your goals? And listing those out can make it really clear. So kind of again, I pulled in this one example here from an organization that just, said their strengths was in human resources and they had a stable source of finances and a strong relationship with stakeholders and strong mission and vision, but their weaknesses looked like issues with getting new donors, weaknesses at management level, understaffing, gaps in collaboration, opportunities looked like support from donors from other organizations that are similar, support and buy-in from the community, support from the media, and so doing maybe more media advertising. And then threats looked like, operations that weren't sustainable, restrictions from the government level, things like that. I would say threats probably look a lot more like, lack of funding in order to do what you need, lack of buy-in. So yeah, take a look at what happened in 2021. What brought in the most funds is always helpful as well when assessing this. What channels were most effective? Did your direct mail knock it out of the park this year, or did email marketing knock it out of the park? Was social really effective for your organization? Because ultimately, when you're doing any planning at all for marketing or for fundraising, really, it's all about what channels and everything that works well for your organization. So your plan is very specific. Even though your organization might love to be on TikTok and there's just big buy-in from some of the members on your team for that. If that's not where you're targeting your donors are, and that's not what's most effective for your organization, you can scratch that off the list, or vice versa with direct mail or any of the other channels. Another great opportunity to spot opportunities really is to see what similar organizations are doing well, checking out their websites. What are some of your favorite organizations and what do you see them doing, and thinking through what you might be able to do that's maybe not quite at that level, but similar, and just get something rolling so that you can have the opportunity to grow that throughout the rest of the year and into 2023. And then, gaps in resources are important to note as well. All right, let's take a little bit of a look at your audience. So the second step to really creating your marketing plan is doing an evaluation of who is your audience, so you know who you're speaking to, and so that your marketing efforts are most effective. So when you really know who your audience is, all of your communications can be crafted with the branding and the tone, and the strategies that are going to really resonate with those audiences. So, when we're talking about creating a target audience, all of this is really just about defining who you're marketing to, aka who your ideal donor is, and using that to best target and craft your communications. One of the things you want to note when you're creating a target audience is focusing on key characteristics like age, their location, what some of their pain points might look like, triggering events, hobbies, personal challenges, goals, their career. It can look like a lot of different things, but I wanted to just really show you an example of what a target audience looks like. So you're basically describing who it is you're trying to reach and who it is you think that your communications would resonate the most with. My suggestion is to, if you're not sure of this, take a look at some of the people who are already in your audience and kind of work backwards from there. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But an example of a target audience would be a coastal preservation nonprofit would target people between the ages of 21 and 35. These individuals may have experienced damage or pollution of the waterways in their neighborhoods. They are both male and female, college educated, live in an active, outdoorsy lifestyle. So, when you are thinking through who your target audience is, a lot of this would look like taking a look at who gave to your organization over the last couple of years. If you use a CRM, this can be really helpful. You might be able to pull a report that kind of gives you the ages, locations, all of that. And you can analyze that and come up with those demographics that your donors currently are. So that gives you good insight into who will likely be your donors in the future as well. Also just collecting data from focus groups or your whole community. One of my favorite things is doing a donor survey. This is specifically good at this time of the year. You just got a whole bunch of donations at year end, or hopefully you did. It's perfect time to kind of follow up and just ask your audience questions about themselves, who they are, why they gave to your organization. It does give you a lot of feedback that you can then use for crafting your target audience and your communications, but it also opens up a feedback loop so that it's not just a one-way street and your donors feel like they can talk to you. That's just the start. You could do phone calls, lots more to kind of get a good idea of your target audience. And also another great opportunity, if you're still not sure and you don't have all that data on hand, is to just simply explore who similar organizations are targeting. Take a look at their website, take a look at their social media. What does it look like that they're targeting? Describe the type of people that are probably going to be interested. And kind of use that to inform your own targeting and branding as well. All right. Now for donor personas, this is sort of once you have that targeting in place, you understand who your target audience is. Donor personas help you kind of personify that and put that into a person instead of just a vague description. And what this really does is create a character that you can talk to. And that sounds a little crazy, but it really does resonate with your audience. The more specific an email sounds like it was written just for them, the better that email is going to perform. It actually, personalized emails tend to raise 5.7 times higher than non-personalized emails. And I would bet donor personas play a big part of that. So when you're thinking about creating your donor persona, you want to think about who this person, what who this person is, what they care about, and what your organization can send them that would best fit their needs and their interests about your organization. Basically getting to the root of what makes your donor interested in your nonprofit, so that you can then create the right marketing tools, resources, emails, anything that, any kind of communication that you're sending that will best engage them. My favorite thing to do here, this is actually something we did at CauseVox, is to pick an actual donor in your base to in your donor base already to base your personas off of. I believe there was this was a while ago when we were doing this at CauseVox, but I know that there was Nancy was one of our customers at the time, and we just had a really good relationship with Nancy. She always talked to us. We were getting emails from her. She would come to a lot of webinars. She was very, very engaged with our content and also on the platform. So what we did is we said, we love Nancy. She's awesome. She seems to really fit in our target audience. We want more Nancys. And we based a whole donor persona off of Nancy. I don't think we ever told her that, but it's something that you as an organization can do. Pick the rock star donor that you want to attract more people like them, and you can really craft your donor persona pretty easily. So an example of this would be a coastal, we're going to keep with that same theme and the same example of a coastal preservation / restoration organization. And so persona 1 would look like Ryan, a young active male, his lifestyle. Ryan works remotely from his condo, 15 minutes from the beach in San Diego. That sounds nice. He gets up early to go surfing every morning before work. He's single. He owns a dog and is financially stable. His background is he's 27 years old, grew up in San Diego and loves the beach. There are challenges and pain points. The coastline he loves to surf is often polluted or off limits due to oil spills. He wants to keep surfing every day, but it is becoming dangerous. His business background, has a degree in marketing and works at a tech company. He does surf photography as a side hustle. And where they go for information, Ryan consistently uses social media on a daily basis, but is mostly on Instagram. He mostly uses his phone to do information searches. So that is an example of how you would write a persona so that you can then craft your marketing around that. And last but not least for this section is competitive analysis. So the purpose of competitive analysis is that it helps you identify what makes your organization unique and more opportunities for improvements. So what you want to do here is research nonprofits that have a similar mission and vision to yours, so that you can see what you're doing as an organization that they aren't doing. Maybe you have unique programs that that organization isn't running. So, if somebody asks you, and it's possible that a donor could, how your organization is different, you have answers for that already lined up. It also helps with messaging and just crafting your messaging throughout the year so you can really clearly communicate how your organization is helping in a way that's unique. And that will in turn help people decide to give to your organization. And you can use that for kind of like a scarcity marketing campaign. Don't worry about that, but basically you can use, we're the only nonprofit that does this to really encourage more gifts. And also, what are they doing better? So another great opportunity with competitive analysis is to see, what are these organizations doing on their website? How can we do better? How can we use this to inspire our plans this year? So maybe you go on their website and the first thing you see is that they have a banner for their big event coming up, and that will help inspire you to say, hey, maybe to get more signups for our event, we can do a banner as well. So it really does help you get ideas for just marketing, or also, could inspire, of course, programs or other things that you might want to implement at your organization as a whole. Yeah, so I wanted to include an example of competitive analysis, just so you have something to work off of. So that same coastal preservation organization, what they do, Organization A is a nonprofit that organizes community events to clean up the coastline. How we compete. This competitor has paid Google ads, running for the same keywords we would like to rank for organically. So that way, when you know that, oh, they're doing paid ads and we want to rank organically, but we're not quite ranking for high enough to attract the attention that we're looking for, that gives us the indication that we need to beef up our search engine optimization on our website. Maybe we need to write more blog posts that have the right keywords to really, come out first as well. So just one example for you. I do really recommend, we have a whole Google Ad Grants Academy. If you're not sure about this, basically Google gives organizations $10,000 a month for paid advertising. And so it's free. It's free advertising, and it really is a huge opportunity for you to get the word out about your organization on a much wider scale, as well as target your audience really effectively. So if you're wondering about how you can do that, take a look at the resource I just dropped in. Amelia, it's $10,000 a month. So huge opportunity for nonprofits to really get the word out about their organization. And all of this target analysis and donor personas, that's actually really going to help you use that effectively. Again, I recommend going ahead and taking a look at the resource. I don't have time to go into everything about the Google Ad Grant, but we have such great resources on our site, as well as if you book a time to chat with us, we can definitely chat with you more about how you can get the ad grant as well as manage it effectively. So feel free to go ahead and book a time to talk with us. It's a free, no obligation conversation. We'll just tell you more about all of that. All right, number 3, set goals, key performance indicators, and the strategies that you're going to use to effectively market your organization throughout the year. The purpose of this is to map out all of your 2022 goals and initiatives so that you have measurable success. For SMART marketing goals, this really looks like crafting goals that tie in with those high overall or organization goals we talked about earlier. So if you know, again, that you need to launch a new program and raise $300,000, these are the little goals that marketing is going to be doing that really tie into that overall goal, so that it actually breaks it down from that big kind of overwhelming goal and puts it in smaller pieces so that you know exactly how you can achieve this and measure success that way. So when it comes to creating goals, I'm sure you've probably heard of this before. You want your goals to be specific. So again, like setting a specific goal of, maybe you want to raise $300,000, but you want to raise, $5,000 through social media advertising, so that you have a specific goal. Measurable. So this again is what key performance indicators you're going to be tracking to measure success. If your goal is posting on social media 3 times a week, that's something that's measurable. Attainable. This is something that should be factored in. Basically, like, you don't have all the time in the world, and sometimes goals aren't attainable. As much as you want to raise $2 million next year, it's probably, if you look at what you raised last year, hopefully that's attainable for your organization. But if it's not, it's kind of looking at what is a reasonable growth and what is reasonable in the amount of time and resources that we have. Just kind of like grounding it a little bit. Great way to do that is look at what you did last year and compare it to this year. Relevant. This is something that is basically like relevant to those overall organization goals. So you don't want to be setting goals for anything and everything. Also relevant could tie into like larger things going on in just culture in general, and tying those goals to what's going on today, and current events. And then lastly is time bound. You want to assign a specific length of time that you want to achieve those little goals in. So an example of this would be to grow and nurture our email list to convert and retain more donors. So that would be something that is like, that's your overall goal, is to do that. But what you're actually measuring is that you're sending one email a week, you're getting 50 new subscribers a month, and your goal is to have a 20% open rate. Now, just a heads up, there's actually some big changes coming to email, and actually have already been implemented by Apple iOS 15 update. It's allowing people to opt out of email tracking, and soon open rates aren't going to be quite the key performance indicator to measure by, because they're also like preloading all the emails. So open rates are going to go up, but it's not actually a real reflection of what's happening. This is just like a sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but changes to email, just keep an eye out for that when you're thinking about your email marketing. But this is a great example of, a SMART goal with very specific, measurable, attainable, relevant outcomes. So basically, if your goal is to grow your newsletter, how are you going to be doing that? Also, key performance indicators and channels. So this is something that you want to map out underneath all of those SMART goals. So you have that goal, and this is something that you want to tie into overall what channels you're going to be using to generate awareness and reach those goals that you're setting. Also will really help you with the tracking success day to day. Also, just something to consider is, I know we talked a little bit about targeting and donor personas, but a lot of the times you actually have a couple of different targets and a couple of different personas. So that's something that you want to consider. So maybe you have half of your audience is women in their 50s, and then half of your audience is, college students. That could be something. So that also factors into what channels you use, and what channels those personas as well as your overall audience are most active on. And that can help you really craft your messaging across those channels so it lines up with those personas and your target audience. So for example, listing out all of the different channels you're going to be using, it looks like, here's just an example here. So if you're using Instagram as a channel, what is your purpose of the channel? How does this, tie in with your goals? It's creating brand awareness, but you're probably also using Instagram to increase engagement with your audience. But your metric to measure is going to be however many impressions or your reach per month. But for email newsletter, the purpose of the channel is to re-engage your donors, build community, kind of do nurturing. So then your metric to measure is going to look a little bit about open rate. I gave you the spiel on that just a moment ago. Or driving X amount of donations, driving X amount of click-throughs, all of that. So that's just kind of an overview. One of our clients, Cancer Research Institute, did really, really well on Facebook social advertising, Bing and Google search advertising, Google display and video advertising, so YouTube basically, email marketing, and then through offline channels as well. And this helped them generate, I think it was $1.2 million for their year-end campaign. And they really did list it out by channels, kind of like you're seeing here, and have those specific goals assigned to them to help them get there. So those are their most effective channels. And suggested channels for you to consider using and building out these key performance indicators and goals for would be your website. I feel like your website is actually one of your most important channels to consider, because that's where you're likely going to be driving a lot of donations through your donation page on your website. CauseVox has amazing donation pages and they're free to get started. So feel free to go ahead and take a look at that. But yeah, optimizing your website, making sure that you're making the most of your website and it's all mobile optimized, because about 50 plus to 65% of traffic is probably going to be on people's phones. Also thinking about email marketing and how you can optimize that, especially in the face of these changes, to, better engage your community across that channel. Social media, organic social media with paid ads on Facebook, Instagram. Live stream events are still going to be big in 2022, whether that's more on Facebook or Instagram, or maybe it looks more like having some webinars, and assigning some goals for that. Big Google and YouTube advertising, all big opportunities. Again, if you're interested in getting the access to that $10,000 a month Google ad grants, we can definitely walk you through how to get started with that. So again, you can click on that link, let's talk, and we'll talk you through the steps. Direct mail. This is obviously something you're already doing, but maybe there's ways that you can optimize that. Sending mail to the people that are most responsive through that channel. Phone calls. It's an oldie but a goodie. Everyone, maybe not everyone loves a phone call. I know some people are a little phone shy. I'm not. I like to talk. But segmenting out your audience and connecting with your donors over the phone, and also texting. I mean, I don't think I have one text message that I haven't opened. So if you are, as a nonprofit, communicating with your donors and your community over text, it's an amazing way to really get direct and almost instant access to anybody. And it's an often untapped opportunity for nonprofits. I know Rally Corps, I don't know if you're familiar with them, they do some mass texting. There's tons of options out there, but I would recommend exploring that. And yeah, without further ado, I would love to kind of start wrapping up our time to chat today. I'm going to actually go ahead and drop in that link again to the marketing plan. So with this marketing plan template, you're able to fill this all in. Hopefully this has been helpful, just walking you through the different opportunities you have to craft your marketing so that you can use that to really define and excel at marketing, not just today, but throughout the whole rest of the year, and guide your decisions. The one thing before I wrap up that I do want to say is that this actually is supposed to be an evolving document. The great thing that is that you can start with a plan today and continue to update it, so that when you realize that, hey, wow, like this one channel is performing really well for us, maybe we need to adjust our goals and, lean more into it. Or, hey, this one channel just isn't hitting our target audience, we can move away from that. So again, all of this can be really updated and be used as a guide for you. So you can go ahead and download that marketing plan template now. And then, I would love to see you at the Nonprofit Marketing Summit Momentum. If you want more resources like this and amazing speakers and sessions, we have some of the absolute best in the business. We have Beth Cantor, we have Julia Campbell, we have Allison Fine. I don't know if you were at the Digital Fundraising Summit, but Rain Bennett spoke there. He's also speaking at Nonprofit Marketing Summit. Kelly McLaughlin, I think some of you may be familiar with her. She's absolutely incredible. We have just 50 plus amazing top speakers in the whole industry, and it is free to join. So again, you can go ahead and scan that QR code to save your seat, or I'm going to drop that link in the chat again right here. And lastly, if you would like to sit down with our team to talk about your marketing strategy, whether you have questions about the Google Ad Grant, like I've mentioned, or maybe you want to really increase your search engine optimization and have no idea where to start, or Facebook and Instagram advertising and want to get some guidance on how you can get the best return on investment. All of this are great questions. I'd love to field your questions now and see how many we can get through. But the best thing that you can do is book that one-on-one so that you can get more personalized assistance. And it's like a no obligation phone call. Hopefully it's a great resource for you. So yeah, that's it for me. I know I've talked a lot, but I would love to turn it over to you all and have some time for questions.
So I do see our first question in the panel there. So if you guys have any other questions, just drop them in the Q&A. But Rachel asked, how often do you recommend reviewing the marketing plan or updating it?
Yeah. So I would check back in probably at least quarterly. You're probably going to be reviewing the marketing plan like on a semi-weekly basis, I would think, just to make sure that what you're doing right now is kind of in line with those major goals that you're working towards. So it's going to be kind of like an ongoing thing that you take a look at and make sure that you are using. I mean, some things that you could do is add on to it, so you have all these goals, right? And those key performance indicators. Maybe you want to add some columns and then, track also your success in those ways on a weekly basis in the doc itself. Of course, it's editable as much as you want it to be. But as a general goal of like taking a look at like where your strategy is going for the rest of the year, I would probably do that on a quarterly basis because you'll be able to look back on the last 3 months of data, see what's working, see what isn't, and kind of adjust accordingly.
And I would just add to that, it doesn't have to just be the marketing person. It could also be the marketing committee with your board that's looking at it and adjusting where you need it. So you don't have to feel like it's just on you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think like getting input from outside sources is always really helpful. Seeing what your ED and your board think for sure. Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing the slides with you all. So I'll go ahead and create that PDF now, and I'll email that to you, Abby, in just a little bit. Perfect. So that you can get that out.
All right,
awesome.
So that'll be included in the follow-up email with the recording.
Awesome. Cool. Rachel asks, what if you have a huge opportunity that means fundraising to an ambitious level? How do you figure out an unusual marketing plan? So I guess this is kind of like thinking through like what's attainable and kind of like challenging that. I think I think that there's a lot of opportunity to play around with your goals if you know that there's this huge, I guess I would actually love to hear more about what your opportunity is. If you can like put that in the chat, that would be really interesting and we can kind of chat through that. But yeah, basically like if you have something that's completely unusual, you have a grant that will allow you to do things in a new way and different way. Just like kind of attack it and set some gut instinct goals. That's actually a lot of, sometimes you just have to set some goals and see what happens. Yep. and reevaluate frequently. I would then really evaluate those goals maybe more on like a bi-weekly basis so that you can make sure that you've set the right ones. I know I'm adjusting even right now. I just kind of like threw out some goals and I'm adjusting them too. So I think it's all about just like monitoring them. So it's good to have something down on paper. What you could also do is take a look at, if you know of other organizations that have gotten that grant or whatever the opportunity is. If you know organizations that have had similar opportunities, you can take a look at what their performance was like, or maybe reach out to them and see like, hey, I saw that, you're doing this. How has this worked for you? And just kind of getting a sense of like how their fundraising is going. And then you can maybe use that to base all of that off of.
That's a great idea.
So yeah, Christopher asked, do you have a template for a fundraising and promotional plan? That would probably be more of a CauseVox resource. Abby, I don't know if you want to pull that up. There's our the fundraising plan. So that is a great template that you can use. It's actually one of CauseVox's most popular templates. So Abby, if you can drop that in the chat, or I'll take a look for it too.
We're having that now, so I'll drop it in the chat right quick.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, please take a look at that, because I think that will help a lot. And that kind of does blend fundraising and promotion. Josie asked, do you have further examples of personas you can share with us, and or do you have persona tools you recommend that make creating them easy? I don't know that I have a tool for you. That's probably a good thing for me to know and kind of do some Googling on, to be honest. I think that's actually a great opportunity for me to think through creating more content around personas, so that you can see what other nonprofits are doing and have some tools to use. So I'd love to actually maybe quickly write that down and get that into our content plan for Community Boost. And maybe CauseVox will as well, I don't know. But yeah, I guess I don't have a great answer for that, but I mean, if anyone here, there's 50 or so nonprofits on, if you care to share, if you have a persona, if you want to share that with Josie, that would be awesome. Cool. Any more questions, or did we go through them?
It looks like we got through them all. So we have a couple more minutes. If you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them back in the chat. I just want to go through the last couple slides here. This is just one of our great partners and one of our clients, just talking about CauseVox. And I'd love, if you guys are interested to take a couple next steps with growing your digital fundraising, you can sign up for free, or there's a 7-day free trial for all of the paid plans. Book a one-on-one demo to figure out, is it going to fit, how we can fit into things, how all of the products and features are going to work for your nonprofit. We have a plethora of content, from blogs to webinars to workshops, that you can check out on the website, and a ton of tips from our team in the various content that is on the website. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.